Hello everyone, this is Pratik Ranjan. Welcome to the webinar series by Inside IIM. We are going to talk about the last mile of your preparation before CAT. I know a lot of thoughts might be bogging you down. I can see people joining in for the video. Let's wait for some more people to join. Till then, I know what's the common feeling going on amongst a lot of you. You have just been through a festive occasion. You spent in weeks and months preparing for these examinations. And towards the end, there are thoughts of whether or not you'll make it, whether or not you'll fare well in a particular section or in a particular kind of questions or in a particular topic. There are questions on how your peers have performed and you've not in a certain exam or in a certain section, or what should you be wearing, what should you be eating here on, what time should you sleep, or whom should you talk to, how should you consider your past performance in AIMCATs or other examinations. These are questions which have crossed our minds all the time, and here is the right time to address them. Here is the right time to focus on the exam and answer the questions that have always troubled you. So we'll start with understanding what essentially does CAT look for in a candidate, and why are questions set the way they are. So essentially, outrightly, right in the beginning, let me tell you that CAT is not an examination which is meant only to choose a person with a particular, say, aptitude or intellect, but also to choose a person who can, kind of tackle difficult situations, stays motivated at all times, knows how to sail through difficult scenarios. And therefore, you'll have jitters in your question paper. You'll have difficult questions. You'll have questions which you'll have to leave or maybe spend a differential kind of a time answering such questions. So my idea while I'm talking to you through this video is to tell you what CAT tests initially and then tell you what to do in the last couple of days that you have remaining at hand. Okay, so CAT prepares you or tests you for the kind of life you'll have at an IIM. At an IIM, you live with a very uncertain life, a life wherein you have a lot of things to deal with. And in that, you choose the right amount of things to do. You decide the right approach to do them, and you try to keep yourself motivated all along. Therefore, in the exam, you'll find some questions which are very difficult, some questions which you might not be very comfortable doing. Understand that CAT is not essentially an exam of selecting questions, but also an exam where you need to smartly choose questions and leave some. Therefore, however less motivated you might feel, understand that 100% attempt is not something that you're looking at. Now, let's start with some pointers that you essentially need to keep in mind in the last week or so. Okay, so first things first, you might be up with the thought of how many, okay, hello Ashutosh, Jitesh, Chandan, and Hemant, and also others. Will definitely take questions that you've been asking. But let me first give you some pointers on how to plan your last week. Okay, you need to relax. That's the first thing that you need to do. Do not look at revising every small detail because you can't. Go back to topics wherein, okay, maybe you can visit the basics of some topics. Maybe you can go look the shortcuts of certain topics where there are many, but don't look at revising every topic to every smallest detail, because chances of you missing out on something and then, kind of not knowing it is very high. So just relax. Do not look at revising everything in the last 1 week. Okay, that's the first advice that I'll give you. Second advice, sleep well and synchronize your biological calendar. Now, whichever slot your exam is in, suppose if your exam is in the morning slot, plan your routine and your lifestyle here on to adapt your biological clock to the morning, slot. Whatever time your exam is, try remaining active in terms of solving questions, reading in that time, and plan your sleep cycles accordingly. Take good amount of sleep, somewhere around 9 hours of sleep, which is a little too much for a CAT aspirant to take. But in the last week, you can afford to do that. Please sleep well and synchronize your biological cycle with your exam timings. This is very, very important. That apart, think positively. In this last leg of your prep, you might be, bogged down with so many questions in terms of, my peers have been performing well. I have not been able to perform in a certain section or the like. Stop comparing, because whatever performance you've had in the past, it will never replicate in CAT. What I mean when I say that is, none of the test series have been able to come close to the difficulty level or say the kind of questions that CAT sets. If you talk of AIMCATs, verbal and sometimes even quant are on a very, very difficult side. And DILR doesn't even match the standards that CAT has. Same is the case with any other coaching class. So if you're trying to benchmark your performance in CAT vis-a-vis what you've done in AIM CATs or any other exam, it would not be the right benchmark. If you think that a certain someone friend, say a random Tom, Dick, and Harry, has scored a 99, has been scoring a 99 in AIM CATs or in mock CATs consistently, he will definitely perform in CAT. That is not the right thing to say. In fact, a lot of my friends have never touched 90 or who were hovering around 90s scored a 99 plus in the actual exam. Therefore, you can't make any inference in terms of what your score is or was in a particular mock versus what it will be in the final exam. So past is past, bury it. If you've been doing exceptionally well, it doesn't mean that every of that score will translate to your final score in CAT. If you've not been doing really well, if you've been hovering around a certain score, all it means is that you perform a certain way in a certain exam. The final exam will have a very different difficulty level and a very different kind of questions in certain sections. Let's say DILR. So DILR 2015 onwards has taken a sea change, and therefore you cannot kind of relate back and say because I performed in the past I will perform, because I did not perform or faltered in a certain section I will not. So do not go with a pre-decided time or number of questions in your head. Do not think that I'll attempt 50% of the questions or I will not attempt para jumbles in RC. Don't go with that set of mind, that bent of mind. Because if you go with a certain decided number of questions in your head, okay, I can see a lot of questions here. I'll start answering one by one. Just give me some time. Okay. Do not go with a pre-decided number in your head. Okay, stop comparing is something that I already told you, because none of it gets replicated. Reward yourself. Take continuous breaks. Make sure that you kind of keep going on walks, keep reading light stuff, keep eating what you like. Most importantly, talking of what you eat light and healthy. Keep yourself fit and do not kind of get into the vicious cycle of eating more and more intention, with that might reflect in your performance. Towards the end, wear comfortable clothes. Now, most of the CAT centers, it is reported that the AC temperature was too low, it was very cold, and therefore people were not comfortable all along the test. Please carry a hoodie or a jacket with yourself, a loose jacket or a sweater, something like what I'm wearing, or a sweatshirt. So if you wear loose clothes, wear comfortable clothes, carry a hoodie or a sweater with yourself, so that in case the temperature in the exam hall is too low, you can kind of put it on and continue being comfortable and answering the question in the right milieu, in the right environment. Okay, so that's very, very important. Right before you enter the examination, as unimportant or as futile or as less important might sound, please go to the toilet, go to the washroom. You might not want to kind of spare some time for it during the examination, and it's also very difficult of a procedure. Therefore, please go to the washroom before you start taking your exam. A very sincere request to everyone, whether or not you feel the need of it, but please do go there. Apart from that, keep talking to your friends, not the ones you prepared with, but people who can keep you high on positivity. You really need positive thoughts and positive attitude in the last leg of your prep, because this is what will eventually translate in your performance on the final day. If you think that you can't, you'll not be able to, believe me. Therefore, this day on, whatever little you've prepared, or whatever much you've prepared, believe that it will reflect, believe that you will be able to perform and do your best in the final exam. And lastly, very, very importantly, believe in yourself. I will start taking questions. There are many more things that we'll talk about, but let's first start with the questions, and then again we'll come back and talk. Okay, I'll start with the first question. The question says, what should be the daily schedule for the last few days? Okay, so maybe just take questions, 10 questions from quant, a random RC, and one caselet of DI, one caselet of LR. That is it. 2 to 3 hours, not more than that. Do not overstretch, and try doing all of this in the time span that you've chosen for your examination. So if you're a morning slot student, you'll do it in the morning slot. All along, also keep reading a little. So reading is something that I'll, not from an RC perspective, but just read a random passage, kind of summarize it in your head, and keep the habit of reading alive in the last week. So in terms of how fast you read, how you kill your sub-vocalization. So I have an article on Inside IIM, which talks about how engineers can ace a 99 plus in VA, which is something that I did, which is also a hit with your batch. You can please go back and read that if required, in terms of how are you supposed to read an RC easily and comfortably. So keep reading in the last week. That's very, very important. Apart from solving a particular maybe set of 10 questions or 15 questions of quant and one caselet each of DI and LR. Do not choose very difficult caselets. If you had shortlisted some caselets from your past mocks, which you believed needs revision, maybe do that. Some of them daily. Okay. Hi, I'm scoring 100 to 105 marks. How do I improve it in the last few days? Any tips? The one tip that I want to give you in that you might do in the last few days is that go in rounds. Maybe change your attempting strategy. If you find that your accuracy is not high, increase your number of attempts. If you see that you have not been able to do some of the easy questions, please go in round. Round one should be your easiest questions, which you can do typically, say, in 10-15 seconds. Round two should be questions which you are not 10-15 seconds, around a minute. Okay, round two should be questions which you know you can do, but not very easily. It will take you some time to solve. Therefore, keep them for the later half. Do the round one questions first, then jump to round two. Eventually come to round three, which are questions which are not very certain of. You do not know whether or not you'll be able to solve them. So round 1, 2, 3 can be a strategy to increase your score. Although, again, this score might be very different in the actual exam. Do not compare, Hemant, please don't compare your score in terms of 100 or 105 or whatever it is with your performance in the final exam. You have no idea how different it would be. Thank you, Adarsh. Thanks for the positive comment. Hi, Jitendra. Okay. Manav says mock at last stage. I would really not recommend taking many mocks in the last stage. You can take maybe one every 2 days. Don't go increase your frequency more than that. Even that is not recommended. If you're doing sectionals, if you're doing passages, if you're doing caselets, maybe 1 or 2, even that works. Do not burden yourself. And in the last 3 days, please do not take any mocks. Strictly. For people who love taking mocks, maybe you can go ahead and take a couple of them on alternate days, but do not, I don't recommend any such thing in the last 3 days. Please don't. Okay. Okay, Manav, I think that answers your question. Jitendra says how to improve VARC. So very precisely and keeping it very short, a detailed analysis of that has been written in an article, which is a big hit on Inside IIM, that talks of how you can improve your VARC scores by with the exact level of prep that you have, by kind of streamlining how you read or comprehend a particular passage. The link of it will be shared with the video. You can keep referring to that. Okay, but very precisely, read right. In terms of don't lip read, kill your sub-vocalization, increase your eye span, then look for the characteristics in a wrong answer option. All of this has been talked in the last webinar. All of this has been discussed in the article, whose link will be shared or has been shared. So please refer to that. I think it will be a great value add, at least in your VARC section. And I highly recommend everyone to go through that article just once. Okay, is time DILR easy or tough? Okay, time DILR easy or tough? One thing which I can definitely tell you is it doesn't come close to CAT in conceptual level. So the time DILR questions that you see are typically the ones which you keep seeing in mocks. But if you look at what CAT sets every year, it's very different. So talking of CAT 17, cubes was very famous year over year. But what they did in CAT 17 was, instead of painting cubes, because all coaching classes will give you formulae and shortcuts for painted sides of cubes, they wrote numbers and then they started cutting it. So if you don't have that conceptual clarity, however easy or difficult it might look, you'll falter. Therefore, please focus on the basics. In case you're planning to revise on DILR, only revise the basics. Do not go to look after shortcuts or specialized formulae, because it really doesn't help you in CAT. Paper setters know all these shortcuts and they'll want to avoid as many as they can, because they do not want to put anyone in a disadvantage. If suppose a certain XYZ did not have the access to coaching classes, this person shouldn't be shouldn't let go a particular caselet only because he did not knew a shortcut. Therefore, conceptual clarity is all you need in a DILR section. Talking of time again, you can't benchmark. In terms of conceptual clarity, I can tell you with, I can vouch for it that it doesn't come close to the level that CAT has. Okay, the next question, what to read now? Okay, please diversify your reading. If you're reading one article from politics, maybe pick up something from, say, spiritual sciences, or something from non-fiction, something from some other domain. Have an eclectic reading. So politics, say psychology, say economics. So different domains, different genres, but do not kind of stick to one. Because all you need is a comfort level with every genre. Therefore, diversify your reading in the last few days. I hope that answers your question, Rohit Yadav. Rishabh asks, I scored a 120 plus in mocks, but due to some reason I was not able to take mock in the last 10 days. Okay, I had taken a mock yesterday, I scored an 80. I'm a bit depressed now. Rishabh, please don't be. Do not be depressed. The scores in your mock might not translate in an actual exam. In fact, because they are very different examination, your mock test has, say, a very concentrated few of people who take it. Also, that the kind of questions you see in a mock are very different from the ones which you see in an actual exam. At least quant and VARC are on an easier side. If you compare the DILR, it's very conceptual. Therefore, saying that you scored an 80 doesn't mean that you'll score an 80 in the final exam. All it means is that there are different exams. Just kind of scale up your attempting strategy a little bit. That can help you. Okay. Priyanka says, hi, do previous CAT papers help us now? Ideally, maybe you can pick up some caselets and solve them. Do not go at solving every CAT paper, because then you'll build a kind of perception, and which I would want you to avoid. So please pick up set of 10-15 questions, solve them, but don't stick to one paper. Don't stick to one kind of questions. Diversify. That is all that I want to say. And do not try to solve many papers in the last few days. That's very important. Thank you, Jitendra. Okay. Amit Kumar Malik says, sir, please give some tips on DILR. I'm not able to go beyond 2 sets. Amit, the only tip I have for you is go revise the basics of some topics. Forget about solving caselets at this point, because if you say you've been able to solve only 2 caselets, just go and read the basics of every kind of caselets. There are some 10 of them. And once you're through with them, at least you'll be able to attempt some questions from these caselets. Also, while choosing caselets, be very smart. Understand which caselets has direct questions, or which caselets has questions which you can solve by maybe putting in some amount of effort or calculation or logic. LR, I can understand if you're not familiar with a particular logic, you'll not be able to solve it. But DI very well can be solved if you understand and spend some time with the kind of questions. So 2 is a very poor number. You can definitely scale that up. I think you've decided, or you've kind of settled in your head that you'll not go beyond that. Please remove that barrier. Therefore, the last 1 week is a very great help to you in terms of removing this barrier. Please get rid of that. Go beyond that. Do DI caselets in case you're stuck with LR. That will help you, because DI caselets, if you spend time, you'll get them right. That is the case. It's not a very, say, a rocket science that you can't crack. Comparatively, DI is something that if you are spending time, you'll get it right. So in case you're not finding many LR caselets which are doable, go back to DI. That is your sole respite in such scenarios. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay. Amit, I think that answers your questions. Shubham says, I have read your article, helped me a lot. Thank you, Shubham. In this last phase, shall I learn new concepts of focus on revising the previous mocks and correcting mistakes? I think you've answered your question yourself, Shubham. Please do not go on looking at new concepts or new topics, because essentially you'll not be able to build differential focus in them. If you have left a topic entirely, maybe just go and look at the basic formula of it, but don't go beyond that. Doing a new topic or revising a new subject is something that I will not recommend typically at this point. Only stick to what you've done. If there's a particular kind of question that you've shortlisted for the end, if you know a certain kind of questions which you have been doing wrong consistently, maybe just go back and revise them. But don't spend a lot of time doing new topics. That's a waste of time, and it will only make you more afraid of that particular topic. It's better to leave it untouched if you have not touched it till end, or at the max, just do the basics of it, so that you don't miss out on some very easy question. Okay, moving on to the next question. Thank you, Rohit. Okay. Chitransh says, English में बहुत बुरा हाल है. Okay, Chitransh, my only advice to you is, if you think, maybe choose your questions right. Skim the entire paper, choose the right kind of RCs, attempt them, spend more time because you've not been able to do good. And if in case you feel that a certain non-RC question is doable, can be looked upon, please go ahead and do that. And this is specifically for Chitransh, because all of you will have a very different strategy. Don't change that. For a person who's not been able to attempt at all, I think this strategy works. Okay. Anamik, you say that BARC में बहुत wrong होता है. Any tips? See, elimination strategy is something that you ideally should have worked on. But in case you've not, just go back to some of your mocks and see what kind of mistakes you've done in the questions that you've got wrong, and note them down. You'll find a particular cycle. Don't take any mock, just analyze a couple of them in the last few days and understand what typical characteristics have these wrong answer options exhibited. Try correcting on them and try remembering them for your final exam. Typically, if you want, just do them for the past CAT papers. Even that will work. With the logic in sending a wrong answer, setting a wrong answer option is also very, very important if you understand that. Therefore, try understanding that. It's very important to understand that. Okay. Hello, Aditya. Hi, Rishabh. Okay. Bhanu Prakash has a question for QA. Should we go through the last year mock questions taken by us, or should we raise questions topic-wise from some book? Okay. Bhanu Prakash, very pertinent question. Ideally, if you can revise the questions which you might have shortlisted or ticked from your booklet or your past mocks, it is a very good thing to do, because these are questions which you could not solve in the past. These are questions which has made you evolve. So if you can maybe just go back and revise these questions, it will help you avoid the most obvious mistakes that you're likely to make in the exam. Therefore, the former is what I'll recommend. Do not look at doing many new questions at this point in time. You've already spent weeks doing that. Now, what the maximum or the minimum that is required to be done at this point is going back and looking at certain questions where you were not very comfortable in the past, and now you have developed some comfort zone with them. Okay. Thank you. Which years do we have to have a look? Okay, this is something that is very subjective. Any of the previous CAT years will work. I wouldn't say that the old papers are not very relevant. They are as relevant as the new previous exam papers. So please go back and look at either of them. This was Priyanka's question. Priyanka, I think I'm answering your question well. Anyway, if I solve all the RCs of previous paper of CAT, so this will improve my score. Chitransh. Hi, Chitransh. Certainly, if you solve, more importantly, if you analyze why you got a particular answer wrong, if you understand that rationale, that you got a particular answer wrong because of certain mistake that you did, what was the characteristic that you should avoid in a wrong answer option, that is something that you need to develop at this stage. And through the past CAT papers, if you are able to develop this, you are through. You are through. You are going to crack the RC easily. So look at developing that. I hope I've answered your question. Manvi has a question. What score should translate to 95 percentile? I have been scoring a raw 100 to 113 AMCATs. Again, Mansi, you don't have a perfect benchmark to kind of write a score against. Unless you see the paper, you can never predict the score. So forget about the score. Look at what you can do. Time, IMS, CL, or any other coaching class has never been able to come close to the actual paper or come close to the score and the percentile ratio in the actual exam. Therefore, don't look at that particular score, because if I tell you a certain number, say X, and if you try achieving that, you might end up making mistakes. If the paper is difficult, even a 50 is a very good score. If it's very difficult, right? And if it's very easy, even 200 is not a very big thing to achieve. Therefore, do not go with a predetermined score. Go with a predetermined strategy, which can also change in the exam, which should be flexible, but have a certain ground rules in terms of skimming the paper first, reading the question first, or doing the easy questions first in quant. These are some ground rules which you can't violate. But remember, don't go with a predetermined score, because you do not know how the paper would look in the final exam. Okay. Raj has a question. My marks has been fluctuating. What should I do in the last few days? Okay, if your marks are fluctuating, what you need to understand, Raj, where is it fluctuating? Is it a particular topic, or is it because you're not spending the right amount of time in the questions? Is it because you've left a lot of topics untouched? Figure out what the real core problem is and address that. If suppose you've been getting all questions of ratio and proportions wrong, it means you've not got the basics right. And therefore, you need to go back and revise that. I would not want you to solve 100 questions on ratio and proportion, but at least go back and learn the basics, come back, look at one or two questions in the mocks that you got wrong in past and can be solved now. So this is essentially something that you can look at doing if your marks are fluctuating in the past mocks. I hope I have answered your question, Raj. Devansh has a question. Sir, what is expected difficulty level of LRDI this year? Again, this difficulty level cannot be quantified. What I can tell you, Devansh, is that it will be very conceptual. So skim through every caselet, figure out which caselets are you comfortable answering. And while doing so, also look at the questions. If you see that the questions are very direct and the logic is a little crooked, maybe spend some time with it, because once you crack the logic, questions are easy and therefore you'll be able to nail it down. So this can be a strategy that you can adopt, at least for DILR. Do not again go with a predetermined difficulty level. It will be difficult. Take that for granted. But that doesn't mean that it's only difficult for you. It's difficult nationally for everyone. And therefore, your only differential focus should be on maximizing your score and attempts. So again, difficulty level should not alter the way you take the exam. Okay, in CAT, this is Jiten's question. In CAT, all questions should attempt any problem in scale score if less accuracy. No. Okay. Scale score, not necessarily. What the only difference that scale score has in terms of sections is that VA last year and last year had a little more weightage. Questions have equal weightage. This is also something that is written outrightly in the beginning of the paper. Therefore, don't go with this bent of mind that some questions will have more and some questions will have lesser weightage. Okay, even the subjective questions will have equal weightage. Therefore, do not kind of disrupt your thought process in thinking that this particular question has more or less weightage. So don't take it to your ego in terms of solving a particular question till the end. If it's taking a lot of time, leave it, because every question has equal weightage essentially. Okay, calculator usage. How dependent should I be on calculator? Okay, do not make calculations on every step. Come to the final figure and then do the final calculation. This will help you avoid mistakes. This will help you identify mistakes on the paper. This will also help you eliminate the possibility of you carrying forward a mistake. Okay, so if you have made a mistake in a particular step, you will not carry forward it only because of calculation. So calculating in every step is not something that I'll recommend. Come to the final figure, then do the final calculation. Till then, you can work with numbers or variables. Okay, how many questions must be solved in RC to clear the cutoff? Okay, so these are questions which one can never answer without seeing the paper. Parth, I hope you understand that unless you've seen the paper and performance of students, you can't answer such questions. All I can tell you is skim the RCs, look at the questions, come back, choose the most comfortable RC in terms of genre and kind of questions, answer it and keep moving forward, even for the non-RC questions. Have this approach. This will help you maximize your score, whatever the level of paper is. Okay, so don't go with a predetermined number or a predetermined difficulty level. It's only going to rampage your chances, whether the paper is easy or difficult. Okay, because so do not go with any expectations as such. Go with a strategy that should help you. I hope I have answered your question, Parth. Okay, there are many questions. I'll keep it quick. Best source for quant revision. Your past mocks, questions which you have made, which you've got wrong. If you solved a particular booklet, you might have ticked questions. Go and revise questions only from there. Okay, don't start taking random mocks and all of that. If make sets of them and solve it. Do not go for random revision. Okay, this was Anamik's question. Manju has a question. Manju says, I have taken 10 mocks. Is it enough? Taking mocks is not a number to brag about. What you need to do is maybe take only 2 mocks analyze them properly, understand the deep root problem, and then kind of call yourself prepared. If you've taken 10 marks, it's a good number, undoubtedly. But my only contention is whether or not you've analyzed them well. If you've analyzed them, I'm sure it will definitely reflect in your performance in the final exam. I hope I've answered your question, Manju. The next question is, I'm scoring 60. Can I reach 180? Of course, you can reach 180. You can reach 200. That's not a question. The question to be answered is how difficult or easy the paper is, or how good your strategy is. Scoring an 80 or a 60 in a very difficult paper is a good score. Scoring a 180 in an easy paper is not a good score. Therefore, 60 and 180 are not on the same paper, on the same scale. Therefore, you can't say that a particular score is good and the particular score is not good. Okay. So again, I'll not say that you can't. You can definitely, but again, not that a particular score is good or bad. Okay. Can DILR be as tough as last year? Of course, it can be. In fact, it will be. This was Kushar's question. Any suggestions, sir? In what respect are you talking, Aftab? Please let me know. Lazin, do quant will be based more on arithmetics? Okay, section. This is a question that I can't answer. In fact, see, whichever IIM is setting the paper will take this call in terms of what topic should have more weightage. Again, you should not be looking at such questions. All you need to look at is how will you attempt the paper. If you're going with will paper have more questions, time and work question, this is not a question that you'll answer. The question to be answered is how will I attempt the questions that are thrown at me. Okay. How many mocks should I take in the last 15 days? Alternate day, 1 mock should work. Daily, keep reading. Solve a set of 10 to 15 questions. 1 DI caselet, 1 LR caselets. Typically from your past mocks, just kind of revise them. Will also work. And keep reading. That's very, very, very essential. Okay, so I think the link to what I'm talking about, the kind of things that you need to do in terms of what you are wearing, what you're eating, how you're sleeping, how you're synchronizing your biological clock, how to think positively, all of that has been shared in the comments by Inside IIM. There's a link which you can see in terms of 10 things that no one tells you, but you should essentially do in the exam in terms of what you wear, how comfortable clothes you need to wear, or whether or not you should be carrying a sweater, loose footwear in terms of so that you can take them off during the exam and feel comfortable. Going to the loo right before the examination, thinking positively, sleeping well and synchronizing your biological clock, eating right, eating light, eating fibrous and clean things towards the end, learning the art of leaving questions and not just selecting them, sleeping well, revising only a particular set of things and not everything, and rewarding yourself is something that you need to do. Just to reiterate, coming back to the question, sir, I'm scoring a 60-70, can I reach 180? Already answered. How much time should I spend on the grammar section in VRC? Typically, if you're done with the RC and if you see a low-hanging fruit in the non-RC questions, go do that. In fact, if you do it in between 2 RCs also, you can go do 1 or 2 questions from non-RC. But if you see that it's a very difficult question or you're going to spend a lot of time answering it, maybe reserve it for the end. I know people have not answered any non-RC questions and have still scored 99 plus. Okay, so your strategy can be different. Don't go with this bent of mind. Understand that the difficulty level of paper will decide whether or not you'll attempt it. So read them for sure, but don't waste a lot of time if you find them to be difficult. Again, so don't go with a predetermined number. A lot of questions here. Okay, Asta has a question that I'm not able to do all 3 sections, past mock questions, practice in 1 day. I feel time is getting wasted. How to tackle that? Asta, break your attempt in 3 parts and do it. Start with quant, complete quant in the stipulated time, analyze it, take a break, come back, do DILR, analyze it, take a break, come back, do VARC, analyze, and then kind of put things to perspective. Okay, if you're not able to do it in a go, kind of break it down and do it. But do 1 set of year or past paper essentially. Okay, Tabish has a question, sir. Please tell tips for quant as I'm scoring very low in quant. Tabish, there's an article by Mohit Jain. He scaled his score from 60 percentile to over 99 percentile. And this guy is a real example of how quant can be, honed in a stipulated few number of days and time. Please go back and read that. If required, I think the link of it should be there in the comments. Please revisit that article. Okay, Sarvesh has a question. Sir, I am stuck in DILR set, ends up taking 7 to 8 minutes. Should I continue with that set of questions? Ideally, no. If you see that you're going nowhere after beyond 7 minutes, the smart thing to do is to reserve that set of calculation, keep that aside, and move to the next caselet. After you've solved every possible caselet which you can crack, then come back, continue from where you left. So have that sheet separately. Don't do any fresh calculation on that sheet. Keep it separately. And after you solved every possible caselet which you could have solved anyhow, come back to this caselet and continue. Also, very, very, very importantly, keep asking for rough sheets all along. Even if you have maybe a sheet remaining, raise your hand and keep solving. The lady comes, gives you the sheet, goes back. Have ample amount of rough sheets with you at every time, so that you don't end up wasting time when it gets over. Okay. Okay. Manju has a question. Thank you, sir. Basically, I am a commerce student. I couldn't focus on algebra and geometry, but I'm good with arithmetics. Is that enough to get 85 percentile? I think yes, but again, you can't ignore the basics of geometry and say trigonometry and other things. Algebra and geometry, of course, you need to know the basics. Even though you have done arithmetics well, you need to know the basics of algebra and geometry, without which 85% is a little difficult to attain. Okay, Calcutta is making the paper this year. Okay, all of us know that. Thank you, Chitranj. Okay, can I leave number system? No, I wouldn't recommend that. Again, if you've not done it, just go and look at the basics. Look at the basic level questions, so that if it's a conceptual question, you will not get it wrong. You'll not have to leave it. Okay, so that is something that you can do. Okay, I am facing problem with non-RC questions. Please suggest how to tackle them. Okay, for non-RC questions, you essentially need to understand that there are summary questions, there are last line questions, there are Fij questions, there are odd man out questions. So yeah, the strategies that you've developed for RC will also be helpful in these kind of questions. Okay, so yeah, you can use the same strategy here in terms of deciding whether or not the last line is gelling with the immediate preceding line in the last line question, whether or not the option is gelling with the entire passage in the summary question. So these are strategies which I'm sure you have developed by far. It is there in my previous article. Please go back and read it. The link has been shared here. Okay. Okay. VARC already covered. Ria, can I prepare for CAT in 15 days? Sorry, Rishi, and get 90 percentile. Rishi, I am not sure whether or not you are mocking the examination or whether or not you're serious with it. If you're serious, 15 days of revision, 15 days of setting things to perspective, yes. So I know friends from undergrad, I'm from an NIT, there were people who never prepared for CAT, but kind of revised for it in the last 15 days because there's nothing very special about it. These were people who used to read a lot, and therefore they did not face much difficulty cracking CAT despite low prep. So don't go with that set of mind that you can't. You can definitely, but without any prep, it's very difficult. I can easily solve 80 to 20 questions in quant. Okay, quant again, how to improve? I've already answered this question. Looking at the previous mocks and compare, kind of figuring out the traps that you have fell for in past will help you improve. Sarvesh, thank you. Okay, one more question. If my accuracy is poor in VARC, but I focus on accuracy, my score goes down. If your score goes down, you need to increase your attempts. If your accuracy has been falling, you need to understand that your attempts need to go up. You might not be choosing the right nature of questions, the genres that you're comfortable with, the kind of questions that you're comfortable with, and the number of questions that should be done. So if your accuracy has been falling, your number of attempts should go up. So in the same level of accuracy, you can get more questions right if you're attempting more of questions. Okay, so we have another 5 minutes in which we'll try to wrap it up. So the number of people who are here can ask whatever little questions you still have, and then I'll summarize, and then we'll call it a day with this webinar. Okay. Okay, I can see some more. Thank you. Faisal has a question. Not scoring very well in AIMCAT. Now revising all AIMCAT. Should I stop revising and start taking sectionals? Faisal, not essentially. If you've taken AIMCAT, just go back to them. Look at what kind of mistakes you've done. Kind of jot them down. Develop your elimination strategy. If you're getting a particular kind of questions wrong, week after week, go look at the basics of these topics. If you're getting a particular kind of RC correct, look at what went right, what went wrong, develop your strategy and go ahead. Do not take new sectional tests. Essentially not. Okay. Again, Manju, this is not a question to be answered here. There's a profile evaluation link that can be shared with you. You can share your profile on that, and please don't think of selection and rejection now or colleges now. Only look at maximizing your score. In terms of how you to prepare for interviews and everything else, we'll definitely take care of that. Don't worry. Okay. I'm good at quant. How to improve RC? Karthik, there's an article, the link of which has been shared in the comments. Please go through that. It will definitely help you, as it has helped a lot of people in the past improve their score. It has helped me reach from 70 to 99.6 in the VA section. Therefore, please go and read that article. Okay, so with this, let's summarize what we've discussed. We answer all the doubts and questions that you can see in the comment section. Apart from that, I told you how CAT tests you and prepares you for the life at an IIM in terms of tackling difficult questions, difficult situations, leaving those questions which you're essentially not very comfortable with. Sleeping well before examinations, 8 to 9 hours of sleep should suffice. Thinking positively, avoiding comparison, avoiding your past performance. Your past performance will not drive how much or how less you perform in the examination. The kind of motivation that you take to that room is what will help you. Be dressed comfortably. Wear comfortable clothes. Carry a jacket or a sweater with you, which is again comfortable, so that if the temperature in the exam hall is low, you can kind of wear it and feel comfortable again. Very importantly, keep asking for blank sheets if you feel it's going to get over. Keep your calculations for a particular set of RC or DILR or anything else aside if you feel that you have stuck with the caselet, and move ahead. Do not keep scribbling on the same sheet. Okay. Eat light and remain fit and healthy in the last few days. Don't eat junk. Avoid going to parties or festivals. Diwali is done. No more festivals in the next few days. Please stay aloof from all these things. Go to the loo right before the examination. Whether or not you feel the need of it, go there, dump, come back. Unload, come back. This will help you save time in examination. In case you feel the need of going there and coming, this will waste your time. Talk to the friends which give you motivation. Talk to people who can make you feel positive and believe in yourself. With this, we will conclude this webinar. All the best. CAT is just another exam. This will not define who you will become or what you are, and definitely can be cracked if you have the art of selecting the right questions, if you have the art of staying motivated all along, if you have the art of doing what it takes to crack CAT. With this, all the best. The links for some articles are shared in the comments. How to improve VARC, how to plan your last week or the last 2 weeks, what to do right before the examination, what to do in examination hall. All of this, which was discussed in the webinar, has been put as a link in the comments. Please go through it. Thank you. All the best. Do well. Thank you.